I wonder if maybe putting that there is probably better. No. Right, I'll give it a moment for people to play catch up. Oh, there you go, that's a bit better. You can see just the ridiculousness of my eye there. Let's wait and see if people come and join. Otherwise, I'll do my update on my own, which is fine. But I thought I'd just keep people in the loop with what's going on and yeah, explain why I've been so busy lately. So I'll give it only like an extra minute or so. People are probably like looking at the title going like, what on earth is this? Plus as well, I haven't done a live stream in a little while. I always usually like to do live streams when I'm going to go and meet up with a client in the morning. There's something about being able to walk that stretch before I get to the train station that I actually just find it really therapeutic to be able to put the camera on and just talk and just sort of speak what I want to say and just share my thoughts and especially just kind of give an update on how like the previous day went with someone. But yeah, I'll give it another little stretch of time, and if no one joins, then I will just get straight into it, or people can then join and they can just join later. And if anything, it's just great to be able to do a live stream again and just be in the habit of doing it. I'm going to try and do one every day if I can. I think going forward, I think it's just so useful to do it, and even just momentum of it I think is great. Just hopefully I won't keep on coughing the whole time whilst I'm doing these. We'll see what happens. I think I've did everything else right. I'm pretty certain I did. Yeah, there we go. We shall see. Hello, Amelia. So I was just giving it like an extra minute or so before I just do a catch up. I don't know if you're subscribed to the channel or not, but I appreciate you jumping on the stream, seeing that curious or being curious. What on earth is this guy with the pirate eye talking about? Oh, blimey! Okay, all right. That suddenly shot up. Went from 0 to suddenly 23. Oh, that's brilliant. I am having a good day. In fact, I'm going to just talk about how the day was with a client of mine that I've just started doing one of my 7-day coaching with, which was good. But yeah, it's been quite a busy week. I believe you can achieve anything. Spoken like a true life coach. You're going to be putting me out of business anytime soon. But right, well, now that I've got a little bit of an audience, I appreciate everyone who's jumped on. If you're subscribed or not subscribed, I really hope that everything that I share is of interest to you, or definitely just sort of stick around to hear maybe something interesting, maybe something that inspires you or interests you, or maybe even motivates you to go out and just do something that you want to do. Not necessarily cold approaching, which is what part of my channel is about, but it's ultimately just to encourage you to take action against your social anxiety, and however you do it, to also be able to manage your mental health at the same time. Now, last week was the start of all of my busyness for my business. So for those who are a big fan of Kristian, so that's Kristian Kasanova, big YouTuber. He came to me 5-6 years ago, and I helped him start his dating company business on YouTube. And we've obviously been friends ever since. And whenever he's back from Thailand to come back to London, we obviously always do filming together. And it was a really, really good week going out and filming a load of content, which he is now, as far as I know, he's like published everything or nearly everything on his YouTube channel. So definitely go and check that out if you haven't done so already. And during like the last few days of filming with him, and we were doing like good like 3-4 hours a day out as he's, demonstrating how to socialize and the realism of practicing speaking to strangers, and that some conversations go well and some don't, or some people ignore you, or some are open to some are open to a conversation. I started getting aches in my eye, and it seems like I've somehow miraculously caught conjunctivitis, which I probably like zoom in a bit, or not zoom, but I mean if I'm sort of moving nearer to the screen, you can see my eyelid is just super puffy. It looks like I've been like stung by a bee or something, but yeah, it just looks absolutely ridiculous. And on top of that, I also had this terrible flu, which has meant like my nose has been constantly streaming whilst I started working with a new client doing a 7-day coaching with him on Tuesday. So it's been kind of a slight slog. Maybe my client is watching this. If he is, hello. But he kind of like saw just like how bad my eye was, and just how ridiculous my sneezing fits were. Like I think I sneezed good like 10, 12 times in a row, and then my nose is like streaming and stuff. It was just, I always like trying to be in top form with people, but it is what it is. There's only so much you can do if I've got conjunctivitis, a flu, and I've got coaching, and I want to commit to that coaching. I don't want to let people down. So the last couple of days have kind of been a bit delicate whilst coaching, and that's been absolutely fine. But what's been great is that the sessions have actually gone really well. And something that I would do, especially last year, because this is like first proper 7-day coaching client of the year, really. I've been having a lot of like filming stuff either with Kristian or some other coaches as well. So this has been like the first proper big client of the year. And it's been really good fun. So just walking you through a little bit about it, keeping him very anonymous. So I always call my clients the client. I never want to reveal their names at all. But he's a Pakistani guy, really cool, in his early 30s, and he's just come out of a relationship, and believe it or not, that's actually his first relationship that he's ever had. So he's kind of got like the old school one-itis that the old like pickup people would say, and he's really looking to not just move on, but to actually get some more experiences and date some more people, so he can hopefully have a better relationship with someone. So it was really cool to like have that initial like chat with him and get to know him and stuff. And then Tuesday was our first day together. So today's what, Thursday today. So Tuesday was our first day together. Normally it'd be a Monday, but with how like things worked out filming wise with Kristian, it just worked out like I was starting on a Tuesday rather than on Monday doing a 7-day, which was fine. So we met up, and we had a coffee for an hour, and even that is something that I like to do, just to give people just an opportunity to just get to know me a bit more. Because when you're having a phone call with someone, or if you're doing a video online or putting a video out there, you don't really get an opportunity to just see what someone's like behind the scenes. And I think one of the things that I like to try and be really proud of is like, what you see is what you get. So what you see on camera is essentially the same kind of character, the same person and personality that you would find off of the camera or behind the camera. So we went in a coffee shop. I got my camera gear out. So what I tend to do on like the 7-day for like day 1 and 2, I tend to do my filming and feedback. So I find like being able to film guys doing approaching and then going over the footage with them, breaking down like their bad habits, their mannerisms that they've got, their body language, their linguistics, their conversation skills and stuff, really helps set the tone for the rest of the week. So unlike where other coaches, they might just take guys out and just give them the cold approach coaching, and sometimes they have microphones or headphones, sometimes they don't, which absolutely like bewilders me. Like, how can you coach someone and give them help with their conversation skills if you can't hear what on earth they're saying? I think is just absolutely ridiculous. But I like to listen into literally every single conversation so I can give feedback afterwards. So on the Tuesday, that first day that we went out for 4 hours and or 3 hours, I should say. We did a few warm up exercises. He did some approaching. I kind of talk about this concept of the anxiety bubble, which to explain it to you guys watching. And maybe you've probably experienced this yourself as well. Let me just tilt that. That's probably a bit better. Maybe you've experienced this as well. But when you go out and you want to practice speaking to people, maybe you want to go and speak to people, the longer you leave it, it almost kind of feels like this hard shell is like forming around you, and it's almost like a barrier. And the longer that you don't speak to anyone, the tougher this gets. And if you leave it for too long, eventually it's just impossible to break it. There's no point even trying. It's just like fully solidified. So I kind of teach the concept of breaking the anxiety bubble. It's an incredibly silly title and name for it, but I find the more stupid you give the titles, or the more silly you make the titles with working on things around social anxiety, the less scary it becomes, and the easier it is to then work on your social anxiety or to overcome it, because it's then less of a worry. It's like, oh, it's just such a silly thing, you know. So I taught him about the concept of the anxiety bubble and said to him, look, we need to just basically break this bubble as quickly as possible. I want you to go and speak to someone. I don't care how it goes. I don't care what the outcome is. I don't care if you get a phone number. I don't care if you're ignored, if you're rejected. Really does not matter. But the main thing is just taking that action, just doing it. And he did it, which was great. And then I got him to do it a couple of times. And like with everyone, and definitely for you watching as well, like if you're going out and just starting to practice speaking to people, don't put so much pressure on yourself for those first few approaches. They really do not matter. I know how difficult it is when guys, I think they do put too much pressure on those first few approaches, thinking like, oh, well, if that first approach goes wrong, then the rest will go wrong. It's, you know, oh, I'm a failure and stuff. And that's not true. You have to kind of calibrate your body. You've got to also fire those cylinders in your mind. You've got to wake everything up before you start getting any kind of result. And that would be where you've got the term getting into flow state can come into play. That you've got to do enough approaches, or you've got to speak to enough strangers, and again, doesn't matter what you say, enough people to get into flow state. And once you've kind of woken up your mind and you feel really grounded and you feel very present, that is where then the real magic begins with this. So on that first day, yeah, we did some exercises. He did a couple of approaches, and then we had a lunch break. And then when we started walking around again, London was actually really quiet. And we walked around for maybe about half an hour, 45 minutes. And to my surprise, I still did not see anything for him that I wanted him to go and speak to. There was a lot of like old people around, there was a lot of large groups, there was a lot of like couples, excuse me. You know, there was a lot of students and stuff. There really wasn't any opportunity that I felt for him. And because I also didn't want to waste his hours, I said to him, like, look, once we've kind of like got close or rounded off this third hour together, if we've still not said anything, then we're going to end it here and we're going to carry on or carry that leftover hour to another day. And that was exactly what we did. So we only did about 3 hours together. I'm very adamant of making sure that people have the maximum amount of coaching experience possible. And I didn't want to be just walking around for the sake of it, because it can also be a bit demoralizing as well if you're walking around and you want to speak to someone, but there's not really anyone to speak to. And yeah, I kind of like made the active decision there to just basically shift an hour towards the latter part of the coaching week. So he appreciated that, but I think his morale was a little bit dropped because of it. But I still at least had footage for us to go over. And then yesterday, which so Wednesday, we then sat in a coffee shop together and I watched with him his footage of him speaking to people and also some practice exercise stuff that I get guys to do directly to camera. So I can also point out, their bad habits, their mannerisms and stuff as well, which then also helps give me some things for them to work on over the course of the coaching week. And that was really good. I think that was a really eye-opening thing for him because he got to see like how he tends to like fidget with his hands. He kind of does this thing where he like would like touch his sort of fingers in circles and stuff. He had like this ring that he was playing with. He'd sort of swing his arms a lot as well. Eye contact and stuff. There was a lot of like darting around. It was a bit like watching like a ping pong ball, like bouncing back and forth off of a table. And I also pointed out to him he's got this puffy, like big puffer coat. And I said to him, I said, like, I think we need to potentially lose this coat. For a grown guy. I was kind of blunt with this. I'm always tongue in cheek with stuff, but I try and be as honest as I can. But he had this big puffer coat, and I just said to him, like, it's the sort of thing that you would wear if you're a uni student or if you're going to go off to like the Arctic or something. It's not appropriate. It doesn't show off your figure. It doesn't make you look edgy or anything. And I said that we would go out and I would take, excuse me, I'd take some photos of him or get him to try on different coats, and I'll take photos and send them to him. And that's actually what we did at the end of the session today. But I'm just getting ahead there. But no, it was really cool. Us sitting down and going over his bad habits, his mannerisms, and essentially then those were the things that we're going to work on this week. And also he speaks with his voice kind of going up. So I'm going to help him to try and bring in a bit more authority into his voice, get him to like speak down, not in like a ridiculous way, like not like a. I suppose that Arnold Schwarzenegger is coming to mind. I don't quite know why, but no, we're gonna get him. I'm gonna get him to be a bit more masculine with his voice, have a more conviction and stuff. Definitely, I'm working at the minute with his actual stop. I have a much simpler stop that's so much more easy to understand than I think any other coach on the entire planet. And I just well and truly simplify the whole process, and everyone who I've worked with, when as the moment that they adopt the strategy that I kind of give them with how to stop someone, it's amazing just how much easier it goes. So yeah, that was good. But then going on to today, so today was essentially then the first proper day of coaching where I didn't have my camera equipment, I didn't have my laptop, so there was no filming, there was no sitting down and reviewing stuff together. It was just pure one-to-one coaching, and because I had 2 hours essentially carried over, so 1 hour carried over from the Tuesday and 1 hour carried over from yesterday, which will be used for later on in the week. It's then meant that, yeah, today was like a full-on session with approaching. And he did really, really well. So he approached between about 15 to 20 women, which was really good. He started off with, on the first couple, asking for directions to places, and then everything else was giving a compliment. He went into a shop and complimented a worker. He approached two women and gave them compliments as well, which was really great. He's done approaches where he's had to like quickly cross the road and catch up to someone. So he did really, really well for a first day. And funny enough, like as like one of the last approaches that he did, because we're still just working on his confidence and getting comfortable with approaching. I wasn't really too worried about him having conversations. It was just getting him into a more like altruistic sort of state, and just getting desensitized to the initiation of going over to someone, stopping them, giving a compliment, and then walking away. And he really spoke to some very, very nice girls. But I think what was one of the kicker approaches for him was that he approached a very lovely lady as one of his last approaches, and he gave her a compliment, and she loved it, and she was expecting a conversation, and he essentially ejected from it. And then he came back to me, and I said, like, like she wanted a conversation with you. And he was like, really? Really? I was like, yeah, yeah. We started walking back towards her because she was starting to really go off in the distance. And I said, look, you've got a choice now. Either you go and catch up with her and you be just really honest and say something like how, you're like, I had to come back. Oh, I got the hiccups now after dinner. I had to come back. Like my anxiety kind of got the better of me. Like I thought you were really cute, and yeah, I didn't want to like properly walk away without having a conversation, and maybe finding out if you're single or not. I really like honesty with people, and I think a lot of women really appreciate that kind of sincerity. Just being really honest. It's something that I've always encouraged with a lot of coaches that I've trained over the years, and definitely in like their videos, maybe you've seen that sort of behavior. I'm very, very much for it, for just being really honest and authentic with your expressing yourself. And it means then that like if someone really likes you and they respect that honesty, that really earns you a hell of a lot of brownie points on the attraction scale. And that means like if she were to go on a date with you or give you a phone number and go on a date with you, then she likes you for you. She's not interested, or she hasn't met someone who's used lines and routines online. She's met someone who genuinely expressed themselves to her and took a chance, and she respected it and went for it. But sadly, he sort of chose the option of not going for it, not going back to say like what I've just said. And I said to him as well. I said, you know what? Well, just so you know, what's going to happen in like 5 minutes, you're gonna say to me like, "Oh, I should have done it," because the fact that she was open for a conversation with you means that there could have been a possibility that you'd have got a phone number, and who knows where that would have gone. So ironically, 5 minutes later, he turned to me and he was like, "Yeah, Daniel, I should have done it, shouldn't I?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." But it's one of those sort of things that then becomes a life lesson for oneself, that if there is an opportunity of something, you should go for it. If it's something that you really want, if the juice is worth the squeeze, then you've got to give it a go, and see what happens. And the worst that could have happened was that he could have gone back to her and she'd have said, no, thank you. But you don't know what happens until you go and do it. So I think really like the main takeaway with that experience for him is that I hope that when we're going out over the next few days, because we're going to be back in London tomorrow, walking around and doing more coaching. What I really hope is that if he speaks to someone and they're open for a conversation, I hope he goes for it. And if he doesn't in that moment, I just hope that instead he considers to go back to them and have a conversation. But I am going to work with him on how to kind of like go from giving someone a compliment to actually asking a genuine question. I don't want like people just asking stuff just for the sake of it and thinking like, oh well, this I asked, oh, what you doing today? And I don't really care about it, but I asked it because it was just the easy option. It's like, no, I want you to ask something that you've got a genuine interest in. Like with this girl, with this lady, I mean, she had a really cool accent. She had a really cool fashion style. He could have quite easily just asked a question about that. And especially to even find out where she was from, because I think she had like an Eastern Europe sort of vibe going on. But it's practice, and and the thing that I think, because he was quite quick to try and compare himself to other clients that I've had or just other people out there in the world. But the thing is that everyone's in a very different place when they start their cold approaching, or when they're working on their social skills. Everyone is in a very different place. Some people have grown up with a lot of like social experience, and there are people who haven't. There are people who've had very supportive parents, friends, family members, work colleagues, you name it. And there are people who haven't. And then there's like mixtures and combinations of it, and I've seen and heard it all. And I even did a video the other day talking about like, the different kind of people that I've worked with, who have essentially really inspired me with their stories. And just, I hope that they kind of like motivate and inspire other people too. And yeah, so but he was trying to compare himself, and I sort of had to say to him like, no, look, everyone's in a different place. You are doing really, really well. You are working through all of these things. You've done, look at what you've achieved so far. So for anyone who's jumping in now, yeah, you might have to kind of like re-listen to bits maybe earlier on, but he my client today, he did really, really well. And but I kept saying to him like, don't stress. Today is really only like first proper day of coaching, and the fact that you've spoken to 15 to 20 people on your own, I'd say probably only a couple of them out of that I had to sort of like say, right, well, actually no, that's a lie. No, a fair few I did sort of like point out and say, look, go and speak to that person or that. But we did end the session with him as the final exercise was that he had to be the one to go and do an approach. And he did it, and he went and he did it. But there were certainly things that I acknowledged that we need to work on, like when he's stopping people, he is at quite a distance away. Also, as he's speaking, he kind of speaks up. So I want to try and bring that vocal tonality down. I also want to I want to make him speak a little bit more with authority. I think that would be really good. And then, in fact, actually, as well at the end, we went into Reese and we went into Moss Bros to get him to just try on other coats, because he needs something that makes him just look a little bit edgier and a lot less like a uni student. And that actually made a difference. And in fact, what I did throughout the session to really get him to experience different results, because the first, I think, two approaches that he did, he was wearing his like massive puffer coat, and I have a pea coat, which where have I got it? It's hanging up at the moment, but I actually swapped coats with him. I said to him like, look, put on my coat, and I will put my money on that you will get much better reactions from people, because people were just like looking at him like what is this? Why are you speaking to me? But the moment he put on my pea coat, and he approached people, it was amazing just how much more respect and attention people gave him, which was just a total shock for him. And I pointed out to him that basically first impressions matter. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that does encourage him to actually get a decent coat rather than this puffer jacket. But no, he did incredibly well. It was a really, really good day. Definitely for like a first proper day of approaching. I was really, really proud of him. He's definitely got things to work on, but that's kind of the point in having so many days to work on things, because there's no point trying to do literally everything at once. I'd rather get really efficient and proficient on a handful of things first, and then move on to the next phase, do another couple of things, get them completed and really good, then move on to the next sort of like batch. and rinse and repeat until everything's kind of fixed. It's a bit like kind of torrenting someone's skills and abilities. So yeah, so I was really pleased with that. I'll definitely sort of update you guys on how the week goes. I mean, I've got back-to-back coaching over this month and next month, so I'm pretty much like fully booked until April, which I consider myself really, really grateful for. I absolutely love being able to help people anyway. So I'm so grateful that when people come to me because they resonate with my message and they resonate with my style of coaching and articulating things, that they put their trust in me to help them, and and that just really encourages me to want to help them even more as well. So yeah, so I'll update you all on how like the coaching goes each day. If you are interested in coaching, then have a look on my website. I like having like a consultation call with people first, so I can kind of get a feel and understanding of where they're at. But yeah, just know though that I am now fully booked until April. So yeah, April is going to be the time that I can take on more clients. But yeah, if you're looking to get yourself like prepared, especially for the summer, and you want to get good at cold approaching for when like the best time of the year happens, then absolutely look at getting coaching in like April, May time. That is something that I would recommend for anyone. And if not having coaching with me, absolutely go and have that coaching with another coach of sorts, because it will just prepare you for when like the weather's nice and everyone's more friendly, everyone's in the mood to socialize more. It's a little bit more difficult when the weather's cold, and definitely for me with my blocked nose and my puffy eye with the conjunctivitis, it's a little bit of a hindrance, and my eye is absolutely irritating me as hell right now as well. So I'm really grateful for everyone who's watched this live stream where you jumped in throughout. I really hope that there was a lot of value in this live stream, sort of sharing what it was like with my client on his experience working with me, what to even expect during like coaching with me if you're doing like a 7 day. But otherwise, yeah, I'd love to hear from you if you are someone who wants cold approaching, you're maybe stuck in your life. If you have a lot of social anxiety, cold approaching doesn't have to be for dating. And that's something else to be aware of too. It can certainly accelerate your confidence. And that is something that I just love with the concept of this. So whatever your need is for working on your confidence or overcoming your social anxiety, I would genuinely love to hear from you. But otherwise, yeah, if you can like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And again, I really hope that my stuff resonates with you. But I'll leave it there. I'm gonna go and put some more ointment on this very puffy eye. In fact, yeah, it just looks ridiculous. It just really does look ridiculous. But what can you do? If anyone asks, we'll just say that I was in a fight and I won, and they should see the other guy. But no, thank you for watching, and I will try and do more of these live streams over each day too.